where, hey, oh, what was that? Bad timing, I think that might have been. Good. Hello, boa tarde, Bunsen here with the Fresh Air team. Anna in Devon, John in Devon. How are you this afternoon, Anna?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, just enjoying the I say last of the summer. It's still going fairly warm here still, and just enjoying a little bit of rain here and there as well, because it's been a little bit dry the last few weeks definitely, but we've started getting a bit more rain again, which I'm quite enjoying. So keeping warm, keeping cool, and keeping busy.
Well done. You are keeping busy, and we really appreciate what you do in the group. Some great content this week, all manner of gardening information. Thank you very much for your diligence, Anna, and your conscientiousness in posting up really useful information for gardeners in the Get Out and Grow group on Facebook. So thank you very much for that. John, Senor, and Monsieur Agé, how are you in the United Kingdom this afternoon? Maybe we should unmute you as well. My lip reading is not so good, John.
I forgot to unmute myself, didn't I? Which I do seem to be rather prone to.
Yes.
But that's live broadcasting. Sometimes we say "wehey" at the wrong time as well, I guess, don't we? But that's all about the live broadcasting.
Absolutely.
Anyway, yes, I'm pretty good. It's quite a warm one today in the UK, but they're not humid, which is actually quite nice. Because I'm sure many of our gardeners out there listening will agree that particularly the humid weather, that's really unpleasant. And I imagine any of you who have gardened in humid weather before will be not enjoying that particular episode of episodes of actual gardening when you had to do it in the humid weather.
Absolutely right, John. It's like that here this afternoon, I've got to say, in Portugal. A warm and muggy one this afternoon. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about the weather. They're warm and muggy. We're getting a greetings, gardeners. Happy Monday from T-Duck. Thank you very much. Those ducks in a row there. And Phil Ruff. How have you got that IBC delivered yet? So we were talking about, we have been talking about water conservation off and on, haven't we? And we're talking about water storage and irrigation. And Phil Ruff is having an IBC container delivered, which sets a nice precedent for others who might want to do the same. Very keen to hear your experience with that, Phil. And of course, all your other experience with your unfolding permaculture project here in Portugal. Botard, he's getting very familiar with us here. Botard and tudo bem. They're really truncating the tudo bem is T-Duck. Is this you, John? Do you want to voice that for yourself there? Obviously unmuted, in the unmuted condition.
Yes, indeed, it's me. So, if you forgot to let the excellent Anna know about your question or have only just thought of one, let us know in the comments, either on the YouTube or on Facebook.
Very good, very good. And yes, just to let you know as well, we're not streaming on the Expats Portugal channel anymore. I did put a note up about that in the Facebook group. We are streaming on Good Morning Portugal's YouTube channel and in Facebook, which if you will already know that if you're watching us right now. The IBC is here. IBC tote is here. On to diverting rainwater out of the downspouts there. Okay, so next stage of the experimentation and innovation and irrigation and the other things I can think of ending in shun. And keep us informed, Phil. Photos will be most appreciated. Very quick look at a photograph that's in from Lee, who you will notice has not joined us yet. He's running late. This is the continuation, the latest development of that. It's a water heater, a solar water heater that's going to help the other Carl who was here last week warm his pool and save a bit of money. We'll get an update from the man himself. I think Lee has been involved in building that and putting that together. We do have one or two gardening questions, which is what this is all about, but we hesitate to get into those until Lee gets here, and he'll be joining us ASAP. Garvo, the great Garvo, also with us. Good evening, green-fingered amigos. That's very nice to hear from you, Gary. And thank you again for your lovely intro sequence that you'll have seen if you were right here right from the beginning of the show this evening. Berard, that's a new one, isn't it, from Mark, another homesteader freshly here in Portugal. How are you doing, Mark? Botard even is, of course, what he meant to say. And Nigel Henry's here too. This is fantastic. Hello, Nigel. Afternoon to you. How does your garden grow, if I may ask? And are you in it now? Have you managed to get your way from the UK to Portugal by air, which is not an easy thing to do at the moment. Congratulations if you have. Do you, Mark, Phil, T-Duck, or anyone else watching, because we know there are others watching, have any gardening questions? Get them in the chat, and we will put them to Lee as soon as he arrives. But something very interesting has happened in Portugal, hasn't it, John? A discovery which has prompted you to ask questions of gardeners all over the world, really, about discoveries in their garden. Go ahead.
Yes, indeed. I posted this, I think it was Friday. Anyway, basically what it is, you may have seen the post. What was it? Thursday I posted it. Might have been Thursday. Anyway, somebody has discovered a giant dinosaur skeleton in their garden. It's like the biggest one ever discovered or something.
There's the story right there.
Yes, indeed. And so I thought that was really quite interesting and worth asking what everyone thought of this story as gardeners, of course. But also, have you ever found anything historical artifacts wise, whether it's a natural thing like this or maybe some pottery or something like that, while gardening at all? So just throw that one out. I just thought I'd ask that, and we could obviously people could comment, put their findings if they have any in the comments, and also what they think of this story in the comments, or of course what you think of the story in the original post I made, which you can scroll down to find in the group, of course.
It's an extraordinary find, isn't it? Let's tell everybody a little bit about this. It could be the largest dinosaur skeleton ever found in Europe. And given that, it looks like a remarkably leisurely dig, doesn't it? It looks like people are just down the allotment, having a little bit of a pick about. I would have thought this would have warranted, huge international interest. What are people, not archaeologists, what are people who look, is it paleontologists? It's paleontologists, isn't it? People who look specifically for dinosaurs. The remains of what could turn out to be the largest dinosaur ever found in Europe have been unearthed in the backyard of a Pombal landowner in central Portugal. Is it Matty? We haven't heard from Matty for a while. He did send us a picture of a baby pigeon. Things might have just gone up a whole to another level, another scale for him, if this is his garden. I mean, he has just moved into the place. He might have been digging around. The fossilized skeleton apparently belonged to a 25-meter-long sauropod dinosaur, believed to have been around 12 meters tall. What? The equivalent of a 6-story building. The remains are now being studied by an international research team. The story dates back to 2017, when a man found several fragments of fossilized bones in the backyard of his property in Pombal while carrying out construction work. He immediately contacted the research team, which carried out the first excavation campaign in that same year. More recently, between the 1st of August and the 10th, Portuguese and Spanish paleontologists working on the site have been unearthing what can be the remains of the largest sauropod dinosaur to be found in Europe, said the team in a statement posted on Eureka Alert. That sounds like an interesting website, a non-profit news release distribution system. I think we need to find out more about Eureka Alert. It's not unusual to find all the ribs. Oh, it is usual to find all the ribs of an animal like this, let alone it's not usual to find all the ribs of an animal like this. Let me just get that straight. Let alone in this position. It just lay down for a little while and there it stayed for millions of years. Let alone in this position, maintaining their original anatomical position, says Elizabeth, a postdoctoral researcher at the Faculty of Sciences of the University of Lisbon. How about that? What is the strangest thing you found in your garden, Anna and John? Not all at once, folks.
I can't remember, to be honest.
I'm not sure. I know bindweed is a bit of a new discovery. I think that was a couple of years ago, and then it's done the usual coming back again, and had a bit of fun because we've got 2 bits of lawn pretty much with almost like a bed sort of going down the middle. We've got like almost like a long flower bed up the side with massive conifers in next to the stone wall, and then sort of halfway up the garden, sort of going across way, we've got like a bit of a path and a bit of a flower bed sort of between the 2 parts of the garden. And in the top half, we ended up with a whole load of whole load of bindweed, which wasn't there when we moved in, which was about 20 years ago. And then it started getting so bad, it was actually getting tangled in the actual grass as well. So I was pulling up half the grass and bindweed as well, trying to clear it all.
It's almost at the other end of the archaeological spectrum, isn't it? Something really new, as in it grew into the garden another few inches this morning with bindweed. So yeah, that's your discovery, bindweed there. And I don't think you're alone in the agony of having bindweed in your garden, Anna. John, have you found anything weird in your garden ever?
Just trying to remember now, to be honest.
I bet Lee McGrady has when he joins us. I bet he'd have dug up some amazing things in his time. Apparently, you'd need a big barbecue for those. I was thinking that. I was thinking how much meat there would be on those ribs, and you would need a massive Portuguese barbecue for that. And apparently, the Dinosaur is just down the road from me in Pombal, where Matty lives. Hope they don't start digging his garden. I think Matty would quite like that. We'll ask this question then to Lee, who I think might be with us now. Hey, Lee, how are you? Can you hear us, mate? No, he's frozen up. He can't hear us just at the moment there, I don't think, but I'm sure he'll join us as soon as he possibly can. Are you hearing us, mister? No, he's just plugging in his headset now. Talking of Matty, as we were just now, and as Gary was, a couple of pickies from his garden. This is a vine this is in Pombal, not far from the Dinosaur. Probably a vine there. I think that's a grapevine, isn't it? And he sent us this bit of a wildlife shot. Can you see the baby pigeon? Now, I was interested in this because I think we can see a baby pigeon in there. But does this solve the mystery of the baby pigeons, which you don't tend to see all around the world? Fully grown pigeons, but very rarely do you see a baby pigeon. How does that work? Do they stay in their nest like this one until they're fully grown, and when they're fully fledged, and then they fly out and join the world of fully grown pigeons? I've never really understood that. Lee, I think a little bit of an ornithologist might be able to help us out with that particular inquiry. He's either having a really close look at it or he has frozen up. What do we think, John? I think he's frozen up there. Yeah, I think he's frozen. Okay, thank you very much for that, Matty. We do have a couple of pickies. One from, well, it's a couple actually from Iris. One there of a particular condition I think she wants some help with. That looks a bit fungal, doesn't it? In the bottom of Iris's house plant there. Good to hear from you. Iris, I'm going to go with Iris. I think we talked about this before, didn't we? Iris Otober, thank you very much. You've tuned in before. We have helped you before, and let's hope we can help you again with Lee, although not in that in that frozen condition. Anna, we had something in the group that we weren't sure if it was an advert, a bit of spamming, or if they needed genuine help. Can you tee this up a little bit for us?
Yes, I'll just see if I can find it again. I think, where was it?
What was it that aroused your suspicion about this?
I saw there was a bit of a sort of animal/gardening link in it, I think, which sort of made me wonder if it was a genuine request. Yes, it was. Where was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was just sort of. I don't know if it was a sort of advert for gardeners in the Portugal area. I think it was in the comments. I think.
Okay. Well, if I could read it, I think it's totally legit, and I think they're actually a bit desperate. This is a centre that we've heard from before in the Algarve. It's a little bit of an appeal again, folks, because we did this on the morning show. And Elizabeth Rose posted in our Get Out and Grow with Good Morning Portugal group a day ago, yesterday. We are a registered association in Portugal, so legit. What is it like to run an animal rescue? No one has any idea of how hard or wonderful it might be. It's certainly a mixed bag. Without going into the emotional or physical demands, you can get an idea from the hard figures of the last 14 days. So in the last 2 weeks, nothing fundraised, 256 on vet bills, 256 euros, 625 euros on animal food, only the basic needs. We need a new water pump. This is what we were trying to help them with before. Not only could they not get a pump, they couldn't get anyone out to even look at changing the pump. That's going to cost 500 euros for their water source. As we have no water now for 2 months on the site, carrying in a wheelbarrow over 2 miles is exhausting. My God. The car is in the garage for over 4 months. The bill is over 1,000 euros. Getting a lift is a nightmare. We need angels and miracles. We are now closed, sadly, for new intakes because this is the limit to all energy and resources, and the bank accounts are empty. We need help. So, although she's not put the link to to the place. Oh, green fingers hold on a minute. We need to find out where they actually are. That is a problem. They're so desperate they've forgotten to actually tell us where they are, so we can't point anyone in the right direction. Okay. What is the name of your association? Thank you, Gordon Bruce, for asking that. I'm going to put that in to the chat now so that you can find out for yourself if you can and want to help these folks. Lee McGrady, I think, is joining us now. And I'm going to put that in the chat so that you can help the Associação Valverde, a gentleman we spoke to a little while ago on the morning show, and Rose, they're asking for further help. It sounds like they're in some real trouble. If you want to follow that up, please search on them now, and all everything that you need for doing that, their phone number, everything is there in the chat. Lee, can you hear us now?
Hello, I can hear you now, I think. Yeah.
That was too long a pause.
Can you hear me?
My life. We can hear you, mister. How are you today?
I'm okay. Sorry for being late. I had a bit of business to do, so
Don't you worry.
Unfortunately, business comes first. So yeah.
Of course it does, and we're very glad that you're here. We've got a gardening dad joke for you, thoroughly appropriate. I used to be afraid of gardening, but then I grew a pair. That's good, isn't it? That's very good. But this is not a comedy show; it's a gardening show. Let's get into that. Let's get into those questions now. First one. Are you ready, Lee? Should we get into these?
I'm ready. Let's get straight into them. Yeah.
I am making my own compost. But what other things can I add to the soil to retain moisture and improve clay soil? That's like concrete in the summer. So some soil conditioning with a clay soil, please, for Gary.
Right. So any organic matter can go straight into the soil without composting. So any sort of weeds that you pull up, any grass that you cut, you can actually just dig that straight into the soil. Try not to put anything in that's in seed, like that's seeding already, because you don't want to add seed to your soil unnecessarily. But a constant.
Oh no,
any sort of green manure, anything from the garden works really well.
Okay.
Especially with being clayey, adding that green manure brings back a sort of a soil texture rather than it being a hard clay.
Yeah. All right. And there's so much
leaf
mulch. We are hearing you now. There's
okay.
so much leaf mulch. It's the wrong time of year, but get hold of all that leaf mulch if you possibly can, right? And that can be dug straight in. It doesn't have to be rotted down. Oh, we are having trouble with him and his connection this afternoon. Not good. But I think you get the gist there. Maybe other gardeners who are with us in the community tonight. Anna, when you were working up there at Hannah's, clearly there was a lot of compost being made up there. Do you remember what you were digging into to the compost heaps up at Hannah's at Silhain?
I'm trying to remember. I know I want to say, I'm trying to think if we have worked with vermiculite. I'm trying to remember, and I definitely remember leaf mulch. I think we were using mostly, and I know we did use manure quite a bit as well, and using them on the I think it was raised beds and the ground beds as well. I think, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what else. I think it was those main ones that we used.
All right, thank you, Anna. Now, whilst we're on this question, Lee, how does he stop the clay soil setting like concrete? Can he cover it as well with a manure crop to stop that happening so badly?
Well, no, adding the green manure, like you say, leaf mulch, small twigs, really small twigs, anything like that will, over time, will break down that clay. I'm from the north of England. Everything we do up there is clay. Everything we dig into is heavy clay. So it's just keep adding that green manure and you'll end up with a decent soil eventually. I've got the opposite problem here. I've got the opposite problem. I've got sand. So it's, the polar opposites.
And if you could choose either clay or sand and you had to choose one, which would it be?
Clay, because I like the hard life. I like to be tortured in life. My life's too easy as it is, so I'd go for clay.
Clay every time. Okay, it's grim up north. It's a northern sentiment, I think. Phil Ruff, do you think about perennials versus annuals for nuts, fruits, and veg? Which do you prefer and recommend? Great question, Phil. Thank you very much. Over to you, Lee.
It really depends on your circumstances. If you can afford to put the time in, then obviously the stuff like the carrots and the lettuces, they're great fun to grow and it's a great crop. But if you don't want to put the effort in, planting trees that are going to be just there, constantly providing, it's easy. But I do both. Again, we've got the fruit trees and we've also got the annuals, the lettuces, the potatoes.
Yeah.
It depends what you eat. I always say it, grow what you eat the most of, grow what's going to save you the most money. So
yeah. And you are what you eat as well, Phil. So not too many nuts, I suspect. With that as well. Okay. Do chip in, John, at any time. Nigel, then I keep getting a request to play Minecraft. None of my kids must have been playing on my computer here. Very dry is Nigel Henry in the Algarve. Honestly, I don't play Minecraft. I need a new irrigation system plan and how to straddle a road to my other orchard. Now, let's check you out, Henry, with Nigel Henry, Mr. Henry, with your other orchard. Love the pool heat sink. Okay, we will come back to the innovation that's going on in Carl's swimming pool. How do you straddle a road if you've got two orchards, if you're introducing an irrigation system?
Well, I think that's a job for the council. If you're going to have a proper permission, you have to go through with all the regulations about having a new water pipe put in. But the bureaucracy, I imagine, will be a nightmare here in Portugal.
Okay.
All right. You can't make water suddenly appear on the other side. Or you have another well. You have a well done on the opposite side of the road as well.
Oh, there's an option. Borehole on the other side.
But yeah, planning for an irrigation system would be a whole show all on its own.
Okay.
They're complicated enough as they are. But then, to cross the road would just be.
Why? So, but there's a joke in there somewhere, isn't there? Why did the irrigation system cross the road? John, I'll let you work on that. Okay. Teenagers apparently are getting more and more into gardening these days, but their parents are alarmed at their obsession with sects and violence. Oh, very reluctantly, one of those. Rare finds, weird finds in the back garden while we're waiting for Lee to unfreeze. Back in the UK, I'd often find very big bones, either from a horse or a cow. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope that's what they were from, Garth over there. Lee's still shaking his head from that attempt at a joke there. Thank you, T-Duck, for those. Baby pigeons, squabs, are really ugly. That's why they hide away. Lee, baby pigeons. How long does it take for a pigeon to grow to a fully grown pigeon that we see in the skies and on the streets? We never see babies, do we? Oh, nice freeze again. It's a profile pic, freeze, but it's not. Oh, there we go.
They taste really good.
They taste what?
As well.
Hold on a minute. The only bit I got of that was how they taste. We talk about chicken.
Yeah, about 10.
Very bad.
Talk about baby.
Maybe we don't see baby pigeons because Lee is eating them all. Is
meat on the chest?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we're not hearing you terribly well there, Lee. Hopefully that'll improve. Never a dull moment. Oh my goodness. Could go up to the oak forest and get some leaves. Yeah, a leaf mulch, definitely into that clay soil there, Gary, I would say. And you do notice Portuguese people rocking up and collecting bags of stuff from the roadside. So I think you'd be in good company in central Portugal, collecting natural waste, compostable waste, and adding it into your ecosystem there. And Simon's here. Good evening. Happy homesteaders. Hello, 3Ps in the pod. Great to have you. We've got beans growing again. And I know it's a mange too. You're absolutely right, Lee. They're all coming back again, aren't they, at this time of the year? It's fantastic to see them. I had a lovely bean omelette yesterday. Not a cookery show, but fresh runner beans and eggs from the garden, from the chickens. Absolutely fantastic. What? Baby pigeons then? Why do we not see baby pigeons, Lee?
Well, they tend to nest in really awkward places. So it's not that there aren't any. We just they like to go into roof sets. They like to go into real high corners on ledges. Yeah. A lot of pigeons will nest on cliff faces. Oh, so it's not like a standard nest. They don't have a standard nest like a magpie or a crow.
Yeah.
They find hiding places.
Okay.
I've dealt with quite a lot in lofts, in old church buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And they are quite tasty.
They are tasty, but they don't take to the skies until they're ready, and that's when we see them, and they're usually fully grown by that point, obviously.
And you really can't tell the difference. By the time they leave the nest, they look like adults as well. They just look like, for the first 2 or 3 weeks, you better spot them, and then they just look like dirty street pigeons.
Dirty street pigeons. The pigeon fancying has got a lovely name, which I forget now, but people do it in Portugal as well. I've lived near to some pigeon fanciers, and I love to see them going up into the sky in the early evening and that lovely sound they make, and the flash of the underside of their wings. A lovely sport, and apparently quite good money in it as well if you've got champion pigeons, homing pigeons, that is. We have an update, please, and then we'll go to your question, Anna, from Iris, if you've got the text for that, after Leah's given us an update on this incredible matrix here. Has it worked out okay, Lee?
It is actually working, yeah. I think we might be better off leaving it till the next show so Carl can explain more, but I did a test this morning. Yeah. The water at the bottom of the pool was 25 Celsius. Yeah, and the water coming out of the pump was 36.
Wow.
So it's really working. But Carl's had family here, so it's not been on as much as it should be.
No, okay.
I think we're better off getting Carl in next week, and
all right, fair enough.
Let him explain But it does look good, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's a great job. It's a great job. And there's 50 meters is there of pipe there that's catching the heat?
No, we bought a 50-meter roll, but we didn't use all of it. I think there's 30. Oh, Carl's actually here. Can you send Carl the link for the show?
Definitely. Yeah, okay. Then give us a little bit of a tour. Okay, I'll do it on WhatsApp for him. Great, excellent. So we'll get. I'll just
shout through to him. Send me on WhatsApp.
Nice one. Old school. Old school shout. Your tea's ready. Okay, Anna. Iris. Oh, can you still hear after him shouting there, Anna?
Sorry.
What's the question from Iris?
So I probably should have said sorry. We've got a question from Iris with a couple of pictures. I don't actually know what the plant is. I did try to ask a question, but I haven't heard back as yet. And she says, having been away 2+ months and having to leave my babies with hubby, many didn't survive. And now I have this one. There are actually 2 photos, so I think it's the first one she was referring to, which has this in the soil. Please tell me it's just seeds and not some kind of nasty fungus. Should I leave it there or try and pick it out? Help. Wondered if it was good and to leave or get it off quick. In another plant, I found a mushroom growing in its soil, and I read somewhere that this was good and means the soil is fertile. Is that so? And they didn't mention, they didn't know the name of the plant, and I haven't heard back if there was an update on that.
Well, obviously I'm on the small screen again, so I did catch this picture earlier in the week. I think I remember correctly. The plant was a kind of a lily. I might be well off on that because I'm trying to remember back to it. But the fungus itself is not a problem at all. It's come on. It's if you Google white fluffy fungi on compost in my house, it'll come up with the same thing, I imagine. And I can't pronounce the name for it. It's a stupid name. But it's not dangerous for the plant, and it's not dangerous for the compost. The problem is the soil's been left to dry, and then it's been overwatered periodically. So it's developed this fungus. So it's non-harmful to the plant. It's not a real issue. And the mushrooms are going to start happening more and more because we're using more mushroom compost in the compost that we're buying. It's becoming more popular to use less peat and more fungus compost. Oh, I'm all of a material today.
Let's call it mungus. I like the word mungus.
Mungus compost. Fungus compost. So that's going to happen more and more with people's house plants, especially when they're watering them irregularly, like this has been done. It's been, It's no harm at all. It's not a problem. She just needs to get back into a normal watering routine with it. Every 2 weeks in the summer, every 6 weeks in the winter, she'll be fine.
And that's your problem, isn't it? Is leaving the plants in the care of people who aren't really into it. They suddenly remember you're coming back, don't they? And they douse them in water, which causes this fungus creating environment, right?
I've got 10 plus plants of Dee Dee's, who's on the morning show occasionally.
Yes.
She's back in England at the moment, so I'm babysitting her plants at my house.
Right.
And they've done really well. She's due back next week, and one of the cactuses has just started to turn this week, and I think it's going to die.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I've managed to get them this far through, but I'm sure she'll understand, and I'll have to buy a new one.
Buy another? It's a bit like looking after guinea pigs. Can't you just buy another one?
I'll just replace it. She'll never know the difference.
Brilliant. Mungus.
Although she'll be watching the show tonight laughing because her cactus is dying. Sorry, Dee Dee.
Sorry, Dee Dee. Mungus grown in the man cave. That would sell, wouldn't it, on the open market? I think. Very good.
God.
And yeah, okay, Garvo, thank you very much. And I think that is an interesting comment. Pigeon is apparently one of the hardest meats to digest. Well, but whatever you can find. No, maybe it doesn't taste like chicken, perhaps, with that. We're getting some feedback, and we've got further questions to ask you, Lee, but we are getting some feedback on the wonderful water heater matrix. So let's bring Carl onto the screen as well. Carl, good evening to you. Thanks for coming back.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for having me again.
So how did it go, this building project? You came on last week to tell us how you were going to build something to raise the temperature of your pool, save a little bit on electricity, use the sun, and there it is. You built it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that difficult, to be honest with you. I mean, as you can see, I'm no engineer. It's hardly a work of art, but I'm actually quite pleased with the way it turned out. So yeah, it does what it says on the tin. It certainly does warm the water up. I actually tested the water coming out directly out of my tap via a hose pipe. It goes through the coil there that you can see in that image. There's 80 meters of black irrigation tubing there, and 80, yeah. We bought a 100-meter roll, not a 50-meter roll. So yeah, so it's 80 meters. It was going in at 21 degrees, and it came out on the other side. This was 3-4 days ago, and it was coming out at 38, 39 degrees. It is, but it is a slow flow rate, though. I must add, it's not sort of firing out. It's like 2 liters per minute. So depending on the size of your pool, it's going to take a long time to make a significant difference, but 100% it does work. Cold water goes in.
All right for a shower.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I just wanted to do it. I just wanted something to do. I've been watching them on YouTube, and I thought I can do that. I just wanted to, so.
Well,
yeah.
let's have a video. I'm very happy to help you knock a video together of that if you take the
absolutely.
Footage. I think
I took
contributions.
Yeah, well, I took plenty of pictures and that, but literally it was only finished. I think it was on Friday when we actually finally finished it. And then, as Lee was saying before, my family were here until late on Saturday, and it's just been a little bit wild, sort of catching up with work since. But yeah, it works, and probably all in it's cost about €250 to get it to that stage. €250 in a day's work, and if you've got that kind of need, if you've got a small pool or you want to set up a shower or anything else, if you're into that kind of thing,
all right,
yeah, it's just not that hard to do.
This is brilliant because Lee's getting all the credit for it. A nice job on the
towards it.
Yeah. Lee went to Lee drove us to Leroy Merlin, so I don't think he deserves any sort of praise, to be honest.
I connected the hose pipes this morning to it.
He did.
But we think it can be refined. I think the pump that we're using is too big. The hose pipe we've got at the moment that connects it is too big a girth on the pipe, so that could be shrunken down a bit. Who doesn't like a bit of big girth? Who doesn't like a big girth on your pipe?
They could play innuendo bingo with this all day long. I've been careful what I've said so far.
Yes. So Garvo's asking, how is the water? So you mentioned the pump there. How is the water circulator on the heater, Carl? For those who weren't here last week.
Well, we just bought, it was a few weeks ago, I was in, maybe a month ago, I was in Aldi, and they had just a submersible pump. I think it was €50. You see them periodically in Aldi and Lidl. I think they're quite common here. So I just bought one of those, and I don't know if it's perfect for the job. I really didn't plan it that well, to be honest with you, but it does do the job. I mean, to be honest with you, for a 2 litre per minute flow rate, I mean, I'm sure you could get something significantly less powerful, but it does the job. You drop it into the pool. You've got to plug it into the main, so obviously there is a cost there. It's not zero cost, and I'd like to work out what it's actually costing just for the, for the sake of it. But it works, it does work without much planning and forethought kind of thing. It does a good job.
I think a diagram would be great, and I'd love to see a video of that. I'm very happy to help making that. Oh, late again, says Fiona Worrell. I'll let you finish and watch later. No, join in, Fiona. Yeah, an OLP, solar water heater, awesome. Lee, a question for Lee. Thanks, Carl, for being here. Our tomatoes seem a tad smaller this year and tougher skins. Any ideas? This and other crop failures. I mean, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, crop failure, but people's courgettes aren't great this year. People's squashes aren't great. What's going on?
It's ridiculous. My courgettes have gone mad.
Mine were ours were fantastic this year. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe central, not so great.
We got. I know part of the problem with tomatoes. I've seen it on another gardening thread where other people struggle with their tomatoes. Again, we had no problem. Our tomatoes again were abundant and they were lovely. We had that really warm spell, and I think a lot of people got tied up in doing the veg gardens then and started late, or they were coming into fruit at the wrong time with the heat that we had, and they kind of went into dormancy and slowed down a bit. And then when they did produce the fruit, they were producing fruit that wasn't perfect. So a lot of people on the other gardening threads have been blaming that warm spell we've had for the failure of tomatoes. But again, it's a soil quality with our tomato bed that me and Cal use. It's 99% goat manure, and it's been in now for its 2nd or 3rd year. So at the moment, it is perfect. You couldn't have wished for better soil conditions for it at the moment. So we might have got lucky because we had absolute perfect soil conditions. And this year we also covered the soil with a membrane, so that would have protected it from some of the heat that we had. It would retain the heat in the night, but prevent overheat during the day. And we had a regular water system on it. So we might have got lucky by chance of doing it right this year, where other people have either started late or started early and been affected by that warm spell we had. So, and it is part of gardening. It really is. It's part of growing veg. You can't guarantee the weather.
All right, so just how it goes some years. And that's why it's a good idea to keep a gardening diary as well, which you've recommended to us before in the past, right?
Yeah.
So you can look back and see what those conditions are like.
Yeah, and you can then compare it to the years before when the weather was different and the rainfall was different, especially in the UK.
All right.
I'm down to like 3% battery. I'm going to have to try and unplug and plug back in again. So
all right, mate. Well,
you might lose me for a minute.
We've only got 5 minutes to go. And while we've got our guest gardener with us, Carl H. Was it Lee that got you into the gardening, Carl? You said your courgettes were amazing this year. If anyone wants to jump on like Carl does in future weeks and tell us about their garden, which Carl's about to do, was it him who got you into it?
Well, I think coming from the UK, where I lived sort of in a city, had a small yard. When we moved here, I've got a nice, good-sized garden. It's like a 1,200-meter plot, lots of fruit trees, and the previous owner had veg beds. So it just seemed like a natural thing to sort of take on. Trying to slow down life a little bit and things like that. So just having Lee as a friend was very helpful because he does know a lot about it, and he's willing to do a lot of the donkey work that I'm too lazy to do as well. So that's also a bonus.
So he actually does the gardening. Is that what you're saying?
Well, to be honest, as you know, Lee and I have a business together. I always say he does all the hard work and I just do the administration in the background. So, as you know, Carl, I work in real estate, but I do have this share in this business with Lee. So that's how the business started. He was doing my garden for me. When I bought this house, I inherited a gardener. And if I said, well, they weren't very good. I wasn't very impressed, to say the least.
Right.
So, yeah, shortly after that, I said to Lee, you may as well come and do the garden if you want, provide me a competitive quote and I'll give it fair consideration kind of thing. Yeah. And it sort of went from there. He was doing my garden for 5 or 6 months. And I said, why don't we make a small business out of it as well? So, yeah, he does do my garden and he does a lot of the veg stuff as well. In that respect, he treats it like his own. Plant what he wants. I plant some things, he plants some things, and we just take it from there. So
incredible. Yeah. So there's one way of getting out and growing is get someone else to get out and grow for you on your behalf.
Yeah,
nice work, Carl. Anna, John, anything come in or anything that you want to chip in these last minutes of the show this evening?
I did have a question. I was trying to see if I could hear back from Iris regarding the question that she originally sent me. However, it sort of ended up turning into a completely different question. So I've now got a question to ask for Lee when he's back, or I could post this one out to anyone who's tuned in. But I was just wondering, any idea whether we can get the saffron seeds in Portugal? I've actually gone a bit blank on the link. I think it must have been a link that I posted, and I can't quite remember what it was actually. But any idea whether we can get the saffron seeds in Portugal that you posted about below on the Facebook group?
Growing saffron. Brilliant. Growing saffron in Portugal. Is it possible, Lee? I'm not sure if you can hear us now. We might have to keep that for next week. That's a great question, though, isn't it? Growing saffron and having the lovely yellow rice. Perfumed and visually attractive rice there. Who's this? Is he? That's amazing. He's bilocated with some Tesla technology, I think. John, anything occurred to you? Because I think this might be in your department here, John. My wife doesn't know what shoes to wear in a garden. She keeps digging in her heels. Wow. Loving this. Loving this, T-Duck. Thank you very much for that. Okay.
May have dug a hole for himself there, potentially.
Very good. If the pipe is too narrow, says Gary. Oh, what's this marriage advice now? No, hold on. If the pipe is too narrow, the pump will fall because of the resistance caused by back pressure, which makes
that's it.
Heat and wear
that's
out.
A consideration. That's something that I'm worried about and that I need to investigate more. Am I putting too much pressure on the pump by having a narrow pipe? And I think that may well be the case. Yeah.
All right. Nobody wants back pressure today. Let's face it. You might be able to get a small wind pump and save on electricity. Well, that's another way of heating the pool.
Yeah. Innuendo bingo all day long with this. I tell you.
I mean, was that the reason why you couldn't get an accurate temperature reading? Because with all the family coming over and using the pool, you couldn't tell if it was the kids peeing in the water or if there's an actual change in the temperature.
Well, it's always had this nice yellow colour, so I don't know. I don't know if that's normal or not.
All right, we'll turn down any invitation to Carl H's pool party on the outskirts of Lisbon. Better to pull than suck with pumps. I'll take your word for it, Simon. That's fantastic. And on that rather sordid note, perhaps we have dug a hole for ourselves there, John, as you quite rightly said. And that's it for today on Get Out and Grow. A frozen Lee. A slightly happier Carl H than last week because he's saved himself a few bob on electricity. At least I think you might be into 3 figures of savings. I mean, in cents, not in euros.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't. It's a 10-year investment.
All right, the kids will love it. Great show, folks. Thanks so much. Oh my God, great show, folks. Thank you so much. I should have paid more attention. Now it's time to go and take a leak. See you all next week. That is terrible. Hey,
that's fantastic.
See you next week. Ciao, ciao. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, John. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Carl. Bye-bye.